Hey there, it's Michelle with Brilliant Quest, and I have a question for you today. And that question is, how you doing? Especially when it comes to all of the information that's coming at you. Now, I can tell you, for me, information has been a love-hate relationship. On the one hand, I have always been a highly curious person, loving information. But then on the other hand, I have recently, hopefully, emerged from having almost debilitating mind fog and other issues that are a part of menopause. Yeah, this is not a dye job. You can probably tell that I've been through some things, but I have come out triumphantly. And because of that, I'm so aware of information and how important it is for how we manage it. So today, if you'll just stick with me for just a few minutes, I want to just kind of like talk to you a little bit about this new information age that we're in. We used to, well, not we, I used to look at this as the final frontier. And I did not realize that when we moved from the post-industrial age to the technological age, that we would move to the mental age, which we're embarking on now, that this is just the beginning of a whole new world. Yeah. And so much so that now we are expected to deal with so many more inputs, that mental inputs that we could not have even imagined just even 10 years ago that we would supposedly be able to deal with. And the effects of this deluge of information, just it comes in so many various ways. But for a lot of people, they don't realize that because they haven't consciously and with intention decided and chosen, those two different things, but how they're going to deal with it, it overtakes them. It makes them numb, throws them into trauma and even shock. There are people who are allowing external forces to create echo chambers of information for them that they're not even aware that they're being programmed to only be able to handle information that coincides with beliefs, sensitivities, opinions, and leanings, when that was not really what we were made for. We were made to be able to handle information of various ranges and to work through it, decipher what is real, what is not, what is true, what is untrue, and all of that. And never would have thought that we would actually have to start having personal information management protocols to keep our sanity and to keep ourselves from moving into uncharted territories of mental instability. Let's just be honest. Think about it. How many touch points have you had just today where, like right now, you're watching this video? Thank you. Thank you. Or you've watched a lot of shorts. You've watched a lot of television, news, videos of music, you name it, social media, all of the different things. And that it has an influence on us biologically. Oh, covered my mic. Of us biologically. And if we're not careful, we're going to need to be able to live in a society that just throws more and more and more information at you. I have a quote that I love, and I have used it to help me navigate some of the things that have been challenging to me of recent years. And this quote is prophetic because it was said decades ago. And it's by E.O. Wilson. Look him up. He was a biologist. He did studies where we started to understand the lives of ants and a whole bunch of other great things. And he has a lot of quotes. But this one is one of my favorites of his that really stands out. And if you'll permit me, I'm going to read it because I can't memorize these things, but I love this and I use it often. Okay, so here it is. And I just really kind of want to read it first, and then I want to go back and break down a little bit of it, okay? So here it is. By E.O. Wilson. This is what he said. He says, "We are drowning in information while starving for wisdom. The world henceforth will be run by synthesizers, people able to put together the right information at the right time, think critically about it, and make important decisions wisely." Now, the key words that I want to put out to you from this quote are information, wisdom, synthesizer, critically, and choices wisely. And the reason why I say that is because I'm starting to see a gulf where people who are natural synthesizers are becoming the haves and the power brokers and the thought brokers, and the people who are not, who are just allowing all of this information to come at them with no kind of management or thought of how they're going to manage it, they're starting to become the followers and fall back in their societal status and power. Okay. And so it's really important, I believe, for us to take a pause and decide, how do I handle the information that comes at me? Now, for the sake of time, I'm not going to use this to talk about how to be critical, how to understand the difference between rhetoric, dialogue, discussion, debate. They're all different. Rhetoric mainly being persuasive, and a lot of people don't even get me talking about propaganda. But being able to just take a pause and say, what bucket am I going to put this information in? It's been said that of the internet, that a lie can spread twice as fast as the truth. Well, with all the information we're getting, I'm going to say that it's probably able to spread infinitely amount of time, not infinite, but an exorbitant amount of times more than the truth. And this is not sad, it's dangerous. That because we have so much information and we still only have the same 24 hours, oh my God, we have fallen away from being able to be critical enough to put the information through its paces. Recently, a young person, there was a death hoax that went down. And I don't even really follow this, but because it was so shocking, people started talking about it. Well, come to find out, there were intrepid people who, whether they call it a protocol or not, they went through how they handle information. They waited, they checked it out, they looked for sources, and then they looked for doubling back to make sure that it had been checked. Simple things like, has anyone seen the body? Or if you're in my community, who got the body? Is there evidence to corroborate this? Is there a coroner's report? Just things that maybe 10 years ago would have been simple, but now because we're moving at the speed of thought, we hear the tickling, the tantalizing, like, oh, this person, and we run with it and we spread it. I love shorts. I love reels. I love watching the little snippets. One of these days I'm gonna get good at it too. But I love these little compartments of information that people put out. But I find myself more often than not, when I hear something that someone declares to be a truth or an ancient wisdom, I find myself saying, okay, hold that thought. Let me go check it out. And the reason why is because of what E.O. Wilson said so many years ago. He was like, we're drowning in information. And if you're drowning in something, the first thing you need to do is get some air. You need to get off from under the burden of it. And so a lot of times that is to take a pause and not believe everything. Now, I'm not telling you to be a total skeptic where you're like, none of it is real. None of it is real. These are not the androids you are seeking. I don't want you to totally do that. But what I do want you to do is for yourself personally to have a protocol by which you handle information. You want to become a synthesizer. And the reason why you want to become a synthesizer, especially if you watch this channel, we are the fog fighters. We do these things. We break up the fog so that we can build fortunes around here. And that means that we must be circumspect, looking all the way around 360 and understanding what's really going on with our mind and our brain and the ability to process. And so this is near and dear to my heart. I don't want to get this, have this going too long, but I want to just give you a recap for information. The first thing I want you to do is I want you to decide. And when you decide, that means that you turn away from all the other options. And I want you to seriously decide that you're going to become a synthesizer of information and not just a victim of it by which you drown. So that's one, become a synthesizer. How do you become a synthesizer, Michelle? Glad you asked. You want to develop your curiosity quotient. Yeah. So if you take curiosity, passion, and persistence to research and to gather, have that gathering spirit, you will increase your intelligence when it comes to information, which means that you become a synthesizer. The next thing, that word wisdom. Wisdom is when information, data, and knowledge becomes active in new ways. It becomes wisdom. And how do you make it wisdom in new ways? Like I said, you check it out. You make sure that you're like, sounds too good to be true, or I am going to need to see some evidence. I'm going to need to see somebody confirm it. Who was there? Where the body? Who got the body? That kind of thing. Because with synthesizing, there's that component of wisdom. And think about this. Curiosity. And I said I was gonna make this short, but I just want to give you two things about curiosity. And I think I'm gonna do a completely different video about curiosity because that's my thing. That's my thing. You want to have a high curiosity quotient. You really do, because the way you use curiosity is going to help you handle information differently. Two main types of curiosity to become a synthesizer, and that is one, with curiosity, there are your researchers, your scientists, your nosy people, and they love to know things for the sake of knowing. Maybe they want to know it for the sake of social communication with others to, have something to talk about. That's why, you get the gossip and all of that, the spreading of the tantalizing and even the lies. So you have that type of curiosity for the sake of investigating and knowing. All right. Then you have the second kind of curiosity. And that's the one that I'm going to tell you to beef up on. And that's the curiosity of knowing how to do something. Not only do you want to dissect it and look at it from the first type, that's the person that tears up the new technology to see what's in it because they just want to know what's in there. The second type is that person, you might tear it up to see what's in there. But when you put it back together, you're going to look for ways to make it more efficient, more effective, or how to answer a question beyond what that technology was said that it could do. And so that is a key component to how you handle information. So when you're having things come at you, yeah, you can go back and use the number one to figure out, okay, well, where did this come from? Who said it? Give me the information or whatever. But then you can take it further. And guess what? I'm gonna just give you some simple ways that this looks like. You'll have people that will do the first part of the information. They'll hunt it down and all of this. But then there are the people who will take it further, where they turn it into an educational moment to break it down for you. And you know them. You listen to them. You listen to me. We take information and we turn it into something where we might have a hot take on it, or we may change the point of view and the perspective to see it in a different light so that you can get a more out of, or even education or growth in understanding the situation. That's a synthesizer. And then the next one on this, it talks about timing, the right information at the right time. As I've been marinating on this quote for years now, that has stood out to me because timing is a wink, wink shortcut to let you know that synthesizers are not trendy. We're not trendy. We're ahead of the trend. Think of, let me use this metaphor. You have a surfer and he or she is a great surfer. And if you know they're a great surfer when you watch them surf, guess what? They're a great surfer because where are they positioned? Are they riding the wave? Are they in the wave? Or are they able to anticipate the wave, get before it, and then elongate their ability to enjoy the wave. It's the third one. They get in front of the wave. And so the right time and the right information is like that. So information where it's trending, if you're a synthesizer, you know it's already old. It's already too late. Another thing about this part of understanding information, one of the things I started learning was the direction of something. Whenever something is coming on the scene, let me just ask you for a moment. Does it start in the center or on the outskirts? Think about it. If something is going to become hot, it starts on the outskirts, on the fringe, on the periphery of something. Yeah. And it starts there and then it moves in. They even have categories. These are first, it's not first responder, but early adapters. You've got people who are always on the hunt for the new, the now, the next. They are natural synthesizers. And once they have experienced whatever it is, then the early adapters come and they're like, oh, okay, it's safe to come into the water. And then you have the early majority, the late majority, the laggards, and all of that. And these are just different ways to categorize people with things, but even with information, you know, that is why news, well, I don't really want to, people who disseminate information, they call it news, entertainment, blogging, or whatever. They want to be the first to break a story because they understand that if you're out here, then you can move this back in and, you guessed it, ride the wave. So that's what E.O. Wilson was talking about when he said putting together this information at the right time and the right information. And in order to do that, you have to think critically. Now, again, I can't give you all there is to know about critical thinking. You can Google that. There's so much. And I am going to be putting together some videos about that because I think that that is sorely lacking in our adult world. We outsource too much of our thinking. We don't ask the right questions. We don't understand, you know, just even filtering. If you want to start with something that is seductively critical thinking that will get you, you know, you'll be excited. Just try to think about something from a Stoic's point of view. And then Socrates. Yeah, let's go with Western civilization, some of the thinkers. And if you want to, you put Aristotle in there too, you know, some of the ancient philosophers, and just, you know, look and see how differently they approach it from a critical standpoint. And if you are familiar with logic, you can put it through a logic kind of thing. If you are trained, if you will, in debate, you can put it through the different logical fallacies, just so many different things. But if you're like, Michelle, I don't have time for all of that. I just need to know how not to get got. The first things you want to do is you want to step back from it. You want to disassociate an emotional investment for it to be right. And you want to look at it as if you were telling somebody else who you care for the truth about the matter. Okay. So I am so grateful for you making it to this point. And to give you a quick recap, get a personal plan for how you handle information. If you don't want to get left behind, learn to become a synthesizer. To become a synthesizer, understand how to take information and turn it into wisdom. Oh, and I do want to say this. I don't know where I heard this from, but over the years, this has been a motto for me with regards to information. And that is data and raw facts or information is currency. Knowledge are riches, but wealth is where you have wisdom. So information is currency, knowledge is riches, and then wisdom is wealth. Okay. And then the last part is critical thinking. Don't forget to use curiosities to help you develop what you want to know about this. Avoid getting into echo chambers where you only hear the stuff that you want. Be able and willing to be uncomfortable with different and various points of view. And then critical think. Start to stretch that muscle. Start with some of the famous philosophers, if you will. Use your knowledge of debate or logic or reasonings and all of those things. And trust me, you're going to be amazed at how you start to not drown in information, but you can surf the wave because you know how to get ahead of it. And you're not always getting information when it's trending because you've learned how to get ahead of it to see it coming. And plus, as a side note, that gives you more time to decipher what is real and what is not. Once I started being intent on having a information method from all this stuff coming at me, life became a little bit easier with all of the psychic weight of keeping up with things in the know and what was happening. You'll find that you're able to cut out a whole bunch of extemporaneous foolishness around information when you start doing this. So that's what I have for you. I am so grateful for the opportunity to share with you. And in the comments, leave me your thoughts. If you have a way to deal with information, leave it in the comments. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe. I will see you sooner than later. Thank you so much. This has been Michelle with Brilliant Quest. Bye.